Right, welcome back, challengers. It's your boy Darwin Darko, and I'm back with some dope beats for you to step to. Sorry I left you, but actually I didn't leave you because I had a couple uploads. I had um, several albums from last recording. We had Bia, Nokia, a couple others, Princess Nokia, a couple others. So hopefully check those out. Like and subscribe while you're here. While I'm at the top of the show here, go ahead, get it out the way. Homework's done. Today on the docket we have Weirs with Diamond Grove, Florence and Machine with a new project. Everybody Scream. D'Angelo passed away recently, and I wanted to revisit the Black Messiah project. Came out some years back. We have Dave with the boy who played the harp coming from across the pond there, and Mariah Carey dropped the project Here for It All. That project came out a little while ago, and I haven't heard much buzz about it, but it was a pretty good project. So, of course, we're featuring here on Challenge Day. All I do is talk about the stuff that I think is at least worth your listen. If it ain't, it wouldn't even be featured on the show. But before we get into the featured projects, a couple of honorable mentions. Leon Thomas dropped a project called Folks. His last project was called Mud. It was huge, and I loved it. It should have won. I don't know if it's still eligible for this coming Grammys, but all the awards. It should win all of the things for best like R&B. This was contemporary R&B. I guess would be that category. It's like soul contemporary R&B. And this project it's an EP. It confirms that he's carving out his own lane in modern soul music. Hey, relax. In modern soul, he's carving out his own lane in modern soul music. Hey, relax, Coco. No, Leon delivers a vibrant and boundary-pushing piece of work with folks. He's blending in deep R&B, his deep R&B roots with bold flourishes, um, as usual. He's known to expect. But there's a lot of funk and psychedelic soul that's on this project. He also leads into some heavy rock guitars. This is a 7-track project, blending these grooves at first, and I listened to it and okay, it's not a featured project. It's honorable mention. It's if you have that Leon Thomas itch that you've been waiting to scratch from his last project, this will do it. But this is not. It doesn't feel fully polished, mastered, but it's something. It doesn't have enough meat on his bones for my taste. So it's not a cohesive, completed piece of art, but it holds up at least a little bit. It's only 20 minutes, so it's not going to use up a lot of your time. So give that a listen. Before we move on, I came across this article from I don't know if Billboard was the originator of this article, but well, probably Billboard, but it's no rap songs are in the Billboard Hot 100 top 40, the top 40. So not the the list is called um, the Hot 100, uh, but in the top Hot 100, you listen from 1 to 100. Um, the top 40, there's no hip hop song in the top 40. This is the first time this has happened since 1990. Written by Andrew Utterberger, as one long running hip hop smash goes recurrent on the chart. The Hot 100 Top 40 does not boast a single rap song, ending a streak that's lasted for over 35 years. Hip hop has been doing their thing, holding down the fort, um, in leading the charge for 35 years, at least on this particular list. Now, I get it. They have their particular numbers. I don't live and die by the charts myself, but this is a significant moment that this has happened because it does highlight how um, this past couple years we've been inundated with a lot. I mean, we had JID, we had the Clips, then of course we had the Kendrick Lamar and Drake back and forth thing. So like the past few years, and then of course the anniversary of 50 years of hip hop. So hip hop was really dominant the past few years, and we've been eating a lot and with good quality stuff, especially with it being at the expense of mostly Drake, because he, I feel, was part of the reason why a lot of hip hop started leaning more towards pop, and because of his influence in the game. So I mean, yeah, he makes rap music, and he's not an MC, like that, but he is a hip hop artist, and so I'll give him that. But for traditional hip hop and traditional rap, um, and him mixing in so much pop influence, it's inevitable that pop being bolstered by this hip hop sound and people just exploiting it and not cherishing it and not cultivating it for the in its pure form, that eventually would have fall off. Because and the reason I particularly say that because there's still a lot of hip hop albums that have come out this year, this summer. I reviewed Cardi B's project. That was just a few weeks ago that dropped. A lot of tracks on that. Um, Bia just last recording. I talked about her album. Um, Little Sims had a project, right? That came out earlier this summer. Um, but the thing is that these some of these, particularly the ones that I'm going to be reviewing, these artists usually when I review albums are going to be a little bit more elevated. So not a lot of the stuff. There's a lot of stuff that won't necessarily make top 40 when I review because this it can be a little bit more maybe avant-garde, maybe a little bit under the radar. I do a lot of underground rappers and artists and stuff. So okay, I get it, but that it still doesn't make the argument about what's up with this top 40. But there's still, don't get it twisted. There's still a lot of good hip hop. There's still a lot of good rap music that's out there. Guys, Guevara, that project we talked about that one a few weeks back. Terrace Martin and Kenyon Dixon, freaking Lloyd Banks album. Man, there's plenty of good rap music. Just all that commercial stuff is what's really being taken a hit here, and it's highlighted particularly by this one this one paragraph they talk about here that really kind of solidifies the point. However, with Luther and seven other songs in the Hot 100 Top 40 going recurrent on the October 25th chart following the rule change, there was also extra opportunity for songs because there was this rule change that they made for songs below them and the chart to rebound into the top 40 or to reach it for first time. No rap songs were close enough to the threshold to be able to make that jump. It is worth noting that the rap world is currently in a bit of an in between moment with some of its biggest names. Drake, the biggest chart mainstay of the past 15 years, and the artist with the most Hot 100 hits of all time, has not yet released his much anticipated Iceman album. It says much anticipated. I'm not over here, but I'll continue. While his 2024 foe Lamar is finally somewhat dormant, um, the last few months have not been totally without big rap releases. Both Cardi B and Big X the Plug, two of the rappers currently closest to the top 40, have released new albums. Big X the Plug is more of a country album, it's country rap, still rap nonetheless. Drake has released a steady stream of new singles since announcing the album in July. Luther is also the most recent rap song to appear in the Hot 100 Top 10. And I'll say that's interesting because Luther is one of those duet type of tracks where, SZA's on there and she's singing. So it's not like a standalone rap song. So that's just put it on an asterisk there. Last doing so on the chart dated August 2nd when, um, geez, Christmas, all these freaking advertisements keeps popping up. Um, However, the last few months have not been totally without. Okay, so read that. August 2nd, even without a new album, Drake has released a steady stream of new singles since announcing the album in July. Okay, and then it goes on to say, in the last 2 months and 3 weeks following that chart, the closest another rap song got to the Hot 100's top 10 was Big X the Plug's All the Way, featuring Bailey Zimmerman, which ranked at number 22 for the Hot 100, and that was September 6th, after peaking at number 4 back in April. On this week's Hot 100, so this was the week of November 1st, the rap song the rap songless streak is extended to a second week, so 2 weeks now without a rap song in the top 40. However, Shot Callin does get one spot closer to ending the drought by breaking into the region, climbing to 44 um, this week. So I don't know whose track that is. Why wouldn't you put the name of the artist there? But there's artist driven uh, news isn't exactly what they do. They just care about the numbers and care about their stats there. So yeah, that's interesting. We'll keep an eye out on that. 2 weeks in a row. Uh, I don't I don't Well, so I guess we just have to wait till Drake drops and see what those things are. I think Drake's album is probably going to be a lot of curious listeners, at least for one that first listen, and that alone is going to be he has enough people intrigued. Even the haters and and those who are his fans are just enough to want to listen to see it. Either they're going to listen to it to shit on it, or they're just anticipating it and because they're fans. So it's going to get a bunch of listeners, a bunch of streams, which I think is not indicative. It's not a good measure anymore. This is again why these numbers these days, these streaming numbers are terrible in terms of judging the quality of the art. Back in the day, if you were a Drake hater, you would not go to Fye, where I used to work, to buy a Drake album so you could listen to it so you could hate on it. No, you just wouldn't put your purchase towards that, so he wouldn't get that count. But now, just because you're curious, you want to hate on it, so you can have an informed opinion on hating on it, you're gonna stream it. And that stream number, he doesn't care. Like Jordan said, you know what I mean? Republicans buy Jordans too. As long as you get him that stream, what does he care? So that's it for the honorable mentions. Again, remember, like and subscribe, share with your friends, and leave a comment. I get comments all the time, and I reply to all of them as best as I can. I think I got to all of them by now, and I can reply to yours next if you have any suggestions on any projects that you think I should maybe listen to, maybe give a chance to review. Drop it a comment, let me know, and if it's good enough, it may make its way onto the show. Diamond Grove by the North Carolina collective Weirs isn't your usual folk record. It blends deep Southern tradition with odd handmade experimentation. Led by Oliver Child Lanning, with players from Magic Tuber, String Band, and Sluice, the music feels like tape experiments and porch jams bumping into each other. Loose, it's curious, and a little rough around the edges. What began as a small, like, home recordings during lockdown, ended up growing into this release, and it's tracked by these weird experimental sounds, all happening from the Channing the Child Landing family farm. They got a dairy farm there. Some of this stuff was recorded over that time with maybe a dozen artists that were just coming in and going. You know what I mean? A couple artists here and there at different points coming in and adding their offering to the album, which is it's dope that they got it all to come together and be such a cohesive um, piece of art thematically. This joint was released on October 3rd. It documents a particular moment of people playing together in one place. Right now, Weirs is touring the Mid Atlantic and Southeast, so it would be a treat for you to go catch them. I'm labeling this as experimental folk. So if you lean country, maybe if you lean folk, maybe alternative rock, this could be something that you could stretch yourself and be into. But it is it it's not easy to dive into, but it is so rewarding and so rich. The production on Diamond Grove gets its edge from purposely being rough around the edges. It's low tech in the way that they made the music and the way they recorded the music. Instead of polished studio setups, the band used borrowed gear and recorded sometimes in farmhouses, in the open field, or even in a silo. There's this one particular track, I think I'll talk about that in a second, that with the vocals or in the silent, the echoes that come from that is just haunting. Those spaces left their mark, their creaks, their winding, their scrapes all over this project, giving the songs a natural grit that you can't fake in a traditional um, studio setup. What really sets the album apart is how it blends these old sounds um, with new instincts. Banjos and fiddles, they're not just played like regular banjos and fiddles. They're stretched. They're made to sound like, I don't know, like barbed wire being like stretched across like a fence post or something. Those tones mix and sit and pitched well with regular electronics. These Some of these noises weren't intentional. They just found some sounds, and out of just doing these weird things with the instruments, and it works and it fits. And they add some loop tapes in there to just um, uh, bring atmosphere all together. The mix of acoustic Americana and the experimental textures, it feels both familiar and strange. Definitely strange. It sounds like this thing could be like if you told me this was the soundtrack to Sinners, right? Not the soundtrack, but the score. Yeah, if it was the score of Sinners, I'd be like, oh yeah, I get it. So that whole vibe, especially with especially when you think about the vampires. Imagine this being like the music that these vampires would be creating if they put an album out in their whole like ethos and everything like that. It's not always easy listening, I'll tell you that. Um, but it's rich, it's layered, and it feels alive. There's nothing mass consumption about this. I get it, and I love the fact that artists like this can be bold enough to create and stick to it and create and just be like, I'm going to create this thing. It's going to be weird. It's going to be experimental. Um, but it is freaking art. It is freaking art. And I love that they had the courage to stick with it and not let their shit get watered down. A couple of tracks that highlighting I Want to Die Easy. And this is the opening track, and I love me an opening track, right? It gives it's a statement piece for me, right? And this thing is a hymn. It's a hymn, right? And it's the opener on this thing. It's a perfect intro into like what am I getting myself into here? It takes a traditional hymn and turns it into this like locust swarm of electro acoustic sound. That's the track where that had the vocals recorded in a silo, and it's just amazing how it works. And I'm like, oh, I sent that song to people. I was like, yo, listen to this track. Like, I don't know, maybe I didn't get a lot of good responses, but uh, if you're into like sound production and music production, like, and you put your headphones on, you listen to the like nuances of what's going on and the way that the harmonies are happening. It's just like it just sounds amazing. But the lyrics are pretty dark. I want to die easy, title track there. The lyrics are pretty dark, but if you can appreciate the musicality behind it, I mean, it's something that you should definitely check out. Doxology is another one, another example of these weird ones that I wouldn't send to anybody, but it's only 36 seconds long. But it's so good. It's so good. It's like a short, sweet, almost MIDI juiced anthem that is just a total gem. And it's the final track on the album. And it comes after my favorite track on the album, which is Lord Bateman. And Lord Bateman is 20 minutes long. The whole album is only 48 minutes. And this one track is 20 minutes long. And they have other songs on here they have another song on here that's pretty long too. Yeah, they have Lord Randall. That one's 9 minutes. They have another one, Edward, which is 7 minutes. I love it. Give it a chance to breathe. These things are like movies. They're filmed. They're like short films. 20 minutes is a long. That's a whole episode on a TV show. Particularly when we're talking about you have commercials and whatnot. Uh, that one is the main event, and right after that comes Doxology, which isn't really even a song. It's just a little snippet that happens at the end of the album. Freaking great stuff. Lord Bateman sounds like it's what like Grouper. Remember Grouper, that one lady? She's this solo artist. It's like Grouper meets uh Yo Yo Ma meets um the the books, and and a splash of Zach Brown band, right? It's 20-minute adventure. Definitely check that one out. If you're gonna do anything, at least listen to that track. There's some albums out that are only 20 minutes. I listened to who was that put a project out that was rather disappointing recently. I'm not gonna name any names. Either way, the joint was 21 minutes, and it was each song was like 2 minutes and 1 minute and stuff like that. Very disappointing. But I love that. Check that joint out. Diamond Grove is moody. It's lived in. This thing sits with the raw weight of the American South, and the history that lingers there. The record feels urgent, a little scorched, like I said, rough around the edges. It's pushed back against the clean, factory-made sounds that feel so much of today's music. It is not afraid to live in the shadows, not afraid to sound distorted. It's purposeful when those sounds come around. It asks you to sit and listen closely. This is definitely one of those projects that are is a headphone. It's going to be a headphone listen. One that you play when you have a quiet hour to pay attention to what's going on. Not only the musicality that's going on, but the lyrics itself. You know, great lyrics, and there is poetry that's happening. Um, Shoot, even better, maybe even if you're driving and you're like in some take the back roads, driving past the farmhouses and the fields. Like I said, this is like the sound the score for Sinners. So if you like Sinners, and you can take a moment to like just have some escapism. That's what it is. It's the escapism of it all. If you could just like maybe even, you know, go lay down, close your eyes, put your headphones on, and listen to this project. And just, it's like watching a movie in your head. And it'll be interesting to see what movie plays in your head, which will be different than the movie that plays in mine. But I say it like this project is overall gorgeous. It is challenging, but it's also powerful. And for anyone who thinks that they've heard it all and folk music has nothing new to offer, you haven't heard this. Florence and the Machine's sixth studio album, Everybody Scream, arrived on Halloween, marking their return after 3 years since Dance Fever. What sets this record apart isn't just the anticipation of new music from one of the most compelling artists working today, it's the profound personal transformation that shaped its creation. In 2023, Florence Welch had to be rushed to the emergency room and had to have emergency surgery from a near fatal ectopic pregnancy. She described this harrowing event as the closest um, she's ever, and I don't know if you would ever get this close in what other scenarios would ever happen, but like the closest she's ever felt to simultaneously bringing life and confronting death. Uh, Quite morbid, but this was the inspiration um, that helped this to be one of the most intimate projects that she's created to date. Um, the trauma and subsequent healing journey is um, is laid out through the this how many tracks we have here, through this um, 12 track project. The production on Everybody Scream is what I would just call controlled chaos. This thing has lush moments, but it has intense moments. It has gritty moments. It has huge moments, quiet moments. Sometimes it feels close up, and then sometimes it feels like she's in some amphitheater somewhere, just like screaming into the sky. With Florence working alongside Dave Bailey, Aaron Desner, and Idol's guitarist Mark Bowen, the album picks up a sharp, gritty edge from their rock and alternative backgrounds. The sound leans into a more um, mystical, maybe mystical, witchy vibe, even. This one track here, uh, even on the track, Everybody Screams, it sounds like a whole innuendo on what's going on with her in that emergency surgery. But at the end here, she's going the witchcraft, the medicine, the spells, and the injections, the harvest, the needles, the needle protecting me from evil, the magic and the misery, madness and the mystery. Oh, what has it done to me? Everybody scream. It's it's magical. It's witchcraft. It's wonder. It's chaos, but it's controlled. The collaborations make the music feel otherworldly but firmly rooted, pushing Florence and the Machine um, sound into a bold new ground without losing what makes it theirs. Right on the track list. some of my favorite joints. Everybody Scream opening track on there. This is the lead single, and it is absolutely a powerhouse to start your project off like that. It's an exploration of the pressures of fame and the need to push um, through pain, and talks about the healing process that happens after that, and the pressure to be a woman in the industry. I think there's a the line on there talking about blood on the stage. I think that she may be talking at the same time about the emergency surgery, but at the same time, blood, sweat, and tears. We talk about putting into your art, right? She's like, how can I leave when somebody when all you guys when everybody's screaming my name? So I think she's talking about both that birthing her child and of course birthing her career all in the same breath, and the struggles and how it can kill you if you're not aware, and if you're not like taking care of yourself, right? Sometimes there's some emergencies. One of the greats is another dope track on here. This joint is like 7 minutes long. One of the greats, 6 minutes and 33 seconds. This is a sprawling epic where Florence lays out her frustrations, including her thoughts on men who make boring music just because they can. She says the song builds with thrilling strings and spectral choirs. It's creating a truly cinematic experience. And Love is another one that comes further down the track list, not quite at the end, but close to the end. This is probably like the third act of the project, and it's bringing a little bit more of a hopeful note. There's stirring notes with this ballad. Florence repeats the lines, peace is coming, almost like she is trying to will it into coming, into arriving. Maybe the track itself is ahead of herself um, on on this. Now I think maybe is and Love the closing track, because I think I'm listening. I think I have the extended version. So the extended version has okay, yeah. So yeah, and Love is actually the closing track on the regular version, but they have chamber versions of a couple of tracks. They have a chamber version on the on the extended track list. Everybody Scream. There's a chamber version. Sympathy Magic. The Old Religion, and Drink Deep. Man, Drink Deep is poetry. So definitely is one that I think folks should find the lyrics to Drink Deep, and man, you know what? Let's see. Do I have some lyrics here? I could highlight on Drink Deep. Let's see. She says there. Drink deep. Through bramble and briar, under ash and oak, I went to find the hidden folk. They gave me guns and riches, cut gold thread with their teeth. Every night I went to see them. No, I did not sleep. And every cup they brought to me, oh, I dared. Drink deep. And just the way she's like built out Drink Deep. There was the last verse was like a thread that they spun was a woman's hair, and the gown stitched from her tenderness flare, and the cup that they brought up to my lips. I realized I drank of my I realized I drank of myself. Poetry, right? That's some poetic stuff. So I love the lyrics are amazing. If you're into that sort of thing, that's why I think it's at least worth your listen, right? Like and subscribe if you're listening to Florence and the Machine, because Challenge Day vibes sent you there, right? Everybody Scream lands like a shared release, an album that lets you shake off pain and old wounds. It's intense but purposeful, turning over themes of healing, self doubt, and the pressure that comes with being a woman in the industry. It's a clear, honest statement from someone um, who lived through the hurt and shaped it into something real. The best way I would say to take this project in is when you are ready. It can be a tough listen, and not tough in the sense of distorted sounds and sort of all that, but like the themes and the lyrics are can be a little dark, can be very introspective, and ask you to like reflect. I would say maybe pour a glass of wine, find yourself clear the schedule and hopefully you can listen to it straight through. Maybe you might need to pause a couple times here and there, but it is music for stripping things back, for those late night moments when you need to let everything just spill out raw and unfiltered. With the recent news of D'Angelo's passing, this feels like a timely moment to look back on one of his most important works, the album Black Messiah, credited with also the Vanguard. It stands out as not only a musical high point in his career, but as a cultural document of the moment. This thing came out in 2014 with after a 14-year absence from his massive project Voodoo, which has great success. D'Angelo's Black Messiah arrived as more than just a comeback; it was a cultural moment. Although the project had been in the works for years, D'Angelo expedited the wrapping it up um, in response to national unrest over police shootings and police brutality. This was around the time of Ferguson. It stands out as his last major full album release. At least as of now, we don't know if there's anything that's going to be released posthumously. I imagine he probably has something, in the hard drive, and hopefully we get to somebody his family, his estate curates that meticulously and puts it out and does him does the work justice whenever it does come out. We see this a lot with the big artists when they pass away, especially if it's a respectful curation of his work. I'm looking forward to whenever that happens. But on this thing, it shows that he passed away at a time and left us with this project, knowing that it crystallizes him, um, i- you know, in this journey, in his musical journey, as being matured, as being politically aware, as being sonically adventurous. Because this project is not your typical neo soul um, um, listening adventure. It has a lot of experimental jazz sound in there, a bit of funk. um, for listeners, this thing offers a bit of escapism from the usual. It's sonically adventurous. It reflects the inner conflicts that D'Angelo might have been going through at the time. On one hand, the lush, romantic soul singer, has a couple love tracks on this thing, but on the other hand, it's a very socially conscious um, um, journey. So it's confronting the boundaries of that of the duality of love and hate. For listeners, it offers more than just escapism. It asks you to listen actively, to feel the groove, to feel that tension, to appreciate the instrumentation, to engage with the themes beyond just love songs. And D'Angelo has always been that this conscious about his art, not necessarily being protest music, but this is definitely a protest album. But it's intentional when he puts it on wax. In the light of his passing, it gains even further gravity. The album becomes not only a creative statement, but a legacy marker. He is I think, I think the consensus is that D'Angelo is a godfather, of neo soul, right? The rebirth of soul music from the '90s and early 2000s. But Black Messiah, he kind of ventures away from that and challenges that archetype, and he's always been pushing his music to new grounds. Um, that being said, this has a lot of funk, has a lot of rock, It has a lot of jazz as much as it is soul. There's still soul in there. He can't help but make his voice sound like that, right? He's a soul singer. But the project taps into legacies like you think like Sly, Family Stone, and there's riot going on, right? There's gospel leaning happening sometimes on the project. Of course, like I said, jazz. Uh, while it is new and fresh for its time, 2014. It is not void of some nostalgic moments. So I'll give them that. The um, the entire project was recorded using some vintage analog equipment and tape machines. It feels alive. It feels authentic. Um, it feels like there's some old tape machines. It feels like it just feels deeply human. And even when I have it on vinyl, and and you put that thing on, and it's very much feels like it was just yesterday, but it feels warm, and it feels um, artists being free to say what they want to say with just him. But the band also just feels like they're just grooving. They're just freaking grooving. Nothing is quantized or perfectly polished. Instead, it's raw, deep pockets of groove that just breathes and drives everything forward with an almost messy vitality. What truly elevates the album is D'Angelo's meticulous vocals. He even does the layering himself in the background. You hear his harmonies and he'll have these like falsettos that are ad lib throughout the thing and stacking the tracks to create a rich, dense choir effect. The result is almost spiritual. It's a soulful thickness that adds profound depth to every song. Speaking of which, the charade. This track is the charade is the third track on the project, and it is sharp. It's social in its social commentary. It's wrapped in a funk rock groove. For the vibes, man, the charade is essential. It perfectly captures the album's um, urgent political heart. Um, so solidifying this as like I said, a protest album. Every track here on this thing is gonna be a journey. Sugar Daddy, that stuttering funky rhythm and those horns are just pure fire on that. Till it's done. This opens with a drum roll referencing Sly and Family Stone's "Stand," but then it diverges into something a little bit more serious about destiny and struggle, another life. Love that one. This is the closing track on this thing. This is gonna be your classic love song that just grooves hard, closes out the project, and it functions like a almost like a benediction and a quiet thesis statement all at once. After an album full of distortion, protest tones, dense rhythmic layering and spiritual unease. This track opens the skies a little bit. It's a little bit more hopeful. Again, it's back to it like kind of like a love ballad sort of situation, um, and it's an emotional, um, you know, soft landing for the whole sequence of songs there. How does one attempt to be the kind of friend that you would want to keep? I just want to say to thee, even though might be hard to believe, the candy coated thoughts that drift in my sleep lets me know it's you that holds the key. I got a craving for confection so sweet, for the taste of when our lips first meet. That's old fashioned poetry love song happening right there. I just want to take you with me, secret rooms in the mansions of my mind, shower you with all that you need. Take my hand. I swear I'll take my time. I'm not surprised to find angels compete for the chance to lay down at your feet. I want to touch in all of the places that please. pull you close. I want to feel you breathe. Um, the dope part about this, I, you know, yes, it's a love song, but he keeps repeating the line in another line, right? And that just sounds just like such a great way to not only close out the project, but also kind of talking to the rest of us. Um, yeah, baby, in another life, I bet you wouldn't know. In another life, I bet you were my girl. In another life, I bet you wouldn't know. In another life, I bet you wouldn't know. Just like speaking to this, like, we'll see you again. Almost like, although we gone to the end of the road, and I can't let you know, or even Bone Thugs with "Meet you at the crossroads, meet you at the crossroads," right? Um, and for him to have passed away, it's sad to think, but in another life, we'll see you. We don't know what happens after this. We don't know where we're going. We don't know if there's anything after this. But I hope that whatever, well, I'm not, I just know that the mark that D'Angelo has left in the industry on this planet to people that love his music, he sort of lives on in a new way, in sort of another kind of life. Um, and for him to this to be the last track of his last album, and ending it in love, in the hopes of love, in the aspiration of love, the target of his love in here would be this girl that he's talking about, this woman, but it's the spirit, it's all in the spirit of love. And that's a dope way for him to have cemented his legacy, letting that be the final track on the last that we heard from him. Of course, he didn't know it at the time that but we I talked about how he died of cancer in a previous video. So go back and check the timeline for that. And while you're there, make sure you like and subscribe. But when an artist like D'Angelo departs, albums like Black Messiah invite us to revisit not just the music, but what the moment was when you first heard it, or when it came out, or where you were at the time, and what was the state of the world. And this thing, it it leaves the grooves and leaves the moods and leaves the messages behind, um, for us to replay over and over to so that we never forget. This project doesn't always follow the neat structures of radio friendly R&B. I don't think any of these songs, maybe maybe It Ain't Easy might have charted at the time. I would have to go back and check that, but I could probably see maybe It Ain't Easy or maybe the Charade, especially since the Charade is a particular protest kind of track. But um, for those who know, I mean, just look at this is a protest album, and it came out the protest, so I could see like something like Charade charting during that time. Just look at the album art. Um, you see the fist raised up, and it's all in black and white. And even from the title of the damn thing, Black Messiah, that's already like pushing back on the typical zeitgeist of this. What do you say? Like you said, when I talk about there's a line in here where we talk with there's somebody preaching or something saying how when I talk about Jesus, I'm not talking about some blue-eyed, pale-skinned individual. He's talking about, and he quoting the Bible, talking about his hair was made of lamb's wool, right? Not made, but like he looked like lamb's wool, and so you're thinking of like locks and dreads or something, and so that would be a person, not white Jesus. It ain't white Jesus, right? So there, even the title of the project is a pushback on convention. It's a pushback on traditional thinking that we've been pushed down our throats, and that we should not be comfortable just accepting the narrative that America has been um, beating into us throughout our existence in this country. Black Messiah exists as you know a, a flag in a rare space where urgency meets eternity. It's revolutionary. It's deeply spiritual and intense. It's funky at the same time. It's protest music that doubles as medicine for the soul.
Martha! Martha! Martha!
Today we're talking about a project that genuinely surprised me. Dave, the boy who played the harp. This is a statement album, positive, it's fresh, and something you definitely need to uh, put in your rotation. Evolving from raw early mixtapes to this incredibly polished, emotionally intelligent sound, Dave always had a way with storytelling, but this project elevates everything, feeling both deeply personal and universally relatable. Lyrically, he is addressing fame, legacy, mental health, and the internal um, tensions of success. He questions his own role as an artist and social commentator. He also tackles societal issues like misogyny, violence, race, class, um, the African diaspora. For example, there's the track Fairchild. I think maybe I'll talk about that in a second, man. This delves into freaking sexual assault and even complicity. Beyond the music, Dave has been making some serious moves. The latest buzz is that he is currently splitting time in the Pacific Northwest and also working out uh, with a nonprofit in Chicago, I think, bringing music education to inner city youth there. The production on The Boy Who Played the Harp is where the project truly distinguishes itself. Um, the production and is done by Dave himself. A lot of it, and has some collaborators. James Blake, which is prominently featured on here. I think James Blake is on how many tracks? James Blake not only produces, but he's on two of these tracks. Sounds amazing on there, and also Fraser T. Smith and some others. The harp runs through the some of the tracks, not just as decoration, but as a rhythmic thread that adds an airy texture unlike anything in trap or R&B right now. It's a very unique sound adding that component. The mastering is tight, lows hit hard, highs are crisp, and every layer has space to breathe. The vocal production really puts Dave front and center. Uh, there's these light delays and reverbs that make it feel like he's in the room with you, like it's bringing out the like he's bringing out the emotion in every line. Now um for some of my favorite tracks on here, let's see, uh I love history. They'll put it start at 175 months. So the first two tracks is really amazing to kick things off. This track is just pure fire. The beat drops hard, but the harp riffs keeps it smooth. It's that perfect blend of street energy and high art. Selfish is a more introspective track. The lyrics are potent, and the minimalist production really lets Dave's storytelling shine. It's deep. What's another dope one? I mentioned Fairchild, man. Fairchild is my joint. This one is a tough listen. It's a tough listen because it's one of these like low tempo kind of tracks. It details sexual assault, shifting from Dave's voice to female rapper Nicole Black. The track is and then it intensifies in an incredible way as as the track progresses. The narrative moves from multiple phases. It starts with Dave narrating an incident involving a young woman, Tama, in a cab or setting like that, like leaving a club, I think, and going to um, taking a cab. How did this track go? Let me get reminded here. Where did the joint go? Can't trust guys. She never lied. No men aside. It femicide. The cat calls the long stairs. The kind words, the lines blurred. Call her out. Impersonate her. All know a victim. don't know a perpetrator. Am I one of them? The men of the past who catcalled or spoke in the bars. Um, he's, he's already leaning into asking the question of like the line being blurred. Where was I complicit? How am I helping to perpetuate this thing? And being and grasping with that and grappling with that, and which is step one. Step one is realizing that, yo, how did I contribute to this environment? And step two would easy step two is like, especially when dudes are in the group chat, that thing just like, a chance to like push back there in that space. Don't need to have it be glaring in your face. You're in the club or you're in the outside environment and there's some woman that needs saving, a knight in shining armor, and you go no. These things just start first of all in the uh mental exercise of saying, yo, don't I don't appreciate you talking like that around me. And checking your brother, checking your dudes, right? Continuing here, the song finally broadens into a systemic, critique, cultural norms, male entitlement, and the role of men as bystanders, or how we're complicit in all this. Um, he says here, I'm complicit, no better than you. I told stories of, yeah, can't sit on the fence. That's hardly an option. You're either part of the solution or part of the problem. And that's the part that I'm talking about. It's like a lot of us think that, hey, I'm not a perpetrator. I'm not a womanizer. I'm not an abuser. But when you don't say something, when you don't add to the solution, what you're doing is you're allowing that environment to like still fester to breathe. If you're not going to be the sunlight in that space, so you're sort of still complicit. Sorry to tell you, my dude. It what Childish Gambino has a line that says, you I forgot exactly how it goes, but you're not racist because you have The Wire in your Netflix queue, right? There's a difference between not being not being racist and being anti-racist, right? Yeah, you're not racist, but if you're just like gonna let racism like fester around you, you're allowing it a space to breathe and grow. You're not helping the problem. You're not helping, bro. Just let you say something. So in this particular case, it's about misogyny and the patriarchy. This is definitely a headphones album, one where the meticulous attention to the sonic details and the lyricism that they taken so much time to polish, it's worth your attention. And it's a pretty dope listening experience overall. He is a British artist, so the accent doesn't throw you off by too much. Give that it feels like an expensive listen, right? It's so well produced and so well polished. The Boy Who Played the Harp is a project that defies expectations, particularly for the genre where you're thinking, it's more UK grime in street hip hop, but it's actually really conscious rap, right? The conscious stuff, but the he is on this thing, experiencing both innovation and a moment of deep human um, introspection and dissection of this thing of ours, and how we move about interacting in spaces with each other, men and women in particular. The vibe is what you might call uh, maybe luxury lo-fi. It's sophisticated, it's laid back, yet it's incredibly intentional. This isn't music that demands your attention through, like you're not gonna be playing it loud. And it's not you don't bam down the block with. Although the music, the musicality, the instrumentation is that good. It's nice to hear. Um, but he is. Um, I mean, the boy who played the harp, again, we're talking about. Let's talk about the title, right? The boy who played the harp is David, right, from the Bible, and there's a responsibility that Dave had to make the king feel better, and he to humble himself. He was one day to be king, right? To humble himself and do his role and be a healer in that sense. And David's trying to do that on this project. So you'll be respectful to give him his due and let the atmosphere that he crafted for us to let it breathe and to give it its the attention that it demands. For UK rap, Dave is a standout figure. He balances the commercial success with um, critical credibility. The album further cements his status as a lyricist, as a thoughtful creator. For listeners interested in storytelling, this is it. Storytelling is the backbone of hip hop, and he's doing it. This album an example of how there earlier I was talking about the Billboard in the top 40, and there's not being any rap songs in the top 40, but stuff like this um, should be there. If our society was structured in a particular way where the algorithm rewarded this sort of thing, but it doesn't. It rewards a lot of just like party music and pop music. So whatever, but there's still good hip hop out there, and this is an example of it that goes beyond the standard club and trap formats that are constantly pumped through the airways and shoved down our throats. Um, the project does challenge you to slow down a bit and engage with the music as a complete sensory experience, proving that innovation doesn't always mean complexity, and that sophistication in hip hop can be accessible.
Martha! Martha!
Mariah Carey's new album, Here for It All, comes from an artist who is music history in motion. She sets the template from the 90s whistle tones that define a generation to navigating pop culture's constant twists. She's been at the top, racking up number ones and massive sales, and she's weathered the challenges along the way. Through it all, she stayed resilient, embodying diva in its most powerful sense. Career wise, she's the undisputed queen of the holidays, of course, which is coming up soon. We're in Halloween now. People are already breaking out the lights. Um, Her Christmas empire untouched and reliably profitable. Beyond the seasonal hits, she stayed selective, keeping her shows limited, her voice sharp, and her fans satisfied. The production on Here for It All is luxurious. It sounds expensive, but it's intentional. um, it leans into classic 90s R&B samples, nodding to her golden era while staying sleek and modern. This isn't a throwback project, it's an evolution. The vocal work is especially impressive. Every breath, every whisper, and every tone, every whistle, it's technically flawless and emotionally immediate. What makes this project stand out is its use of real instruments, strings, the horns, um, the synthetic sounds that do come through. Are they don't dominate. She does still have some of those interlaced throughout here, given, but it allows for the songs to still have a warmth and depth. It's mature, it's full-bodied R&B that values texture and the feeling over digital shortcuts. What makes this project stand out is its use of real instruments. The strings and the horns replace the typical synthetic sounds that dominate today's pop music, giving the songs warmth and depth. It's mature. This stuff is full bodied. This project is true R&B that values texture and the feeling over um, these digital shortcuts that artists these days take. The opening track, "Me," is pure Mariah Carey confidence, right? With its infectious head nod beat. In Your Feelings comes a few tracks later. This thing is a breathtaking ballad that shows off her range. It's this sort of track that you could see, at the concert, phones all light, the phone lights in the air, everybody and around doing that. Here for it all, the title track. This is a triumphant mid-tempo anthem about resilience that hits hard, and it closes out the project. Here for it all is proof that Mariah's still at the top of her game, man. She's not leaning on nostalgia, not relying on it. She's been giving you new stuff that stands on its own too. She's making timeless, sophisticated music that elevates modern R&B and pop. She sounds confident. It sounds luxurious, introspective. It's a grown-up album. It's for grown folks. Um, and it's all grown up. The audience that she's cultivated over the years are all grown up too. So her audience is going to appreciate this thing. It's it's wild that I haven't heard much um, commentators speak on like this project came out. I don't even know if she did much of a rollout for it. Um, she might have did. Did she do the Breakfast Club? I'm not sure, but I can't recall. But there was just not a lot, and I haven't heard people talk about it. But it's a great album. It's definitely worth your listen. Um, she's not chasing trends on this thing. She's still authentically her. She's still classic. With it, although there's some modern stuff like that track "Me," the opening track, has a little bit of trap beat in the background. But it's she's not relying on that crutch throughout the project. It's just a little bit slipped in here and there. For this joint, I say skip the AirPods. I say skip the AirPods on this one. This one is a proper sound system listen. Ideally at maybe a chill gathering with friends and with some cocktails. I'm here for it all. Feels like a mature statement from a mature artist who knows herself, and knows herself completely. It's the sound of a legend at ease, inviting us into her world, um, on her terms, and a generosity earned over the decades of just being on top. It's pure Mariah Carey, and and shout out to Mariah Carey.